With his flowing hair and fierce look, this statue might seem familiar to you. I'm in Bonn, in Western Germany, and that's the city's most famous son. Who's the guy on the plinth?
Beethoven.
Why is he in Bonn?
I guess he was born here.
Correct.
Lucky.
What did he do?
Ja, Musik für mich.
Maybe you have a melody in your head.
No.
You were singing earlier.
Beethoven's Fifth?
Fifth? Okay, all right. Go ahead.
What is it? I don't know. You tell me.
It's one of his symphonies, but there's a ninth that is even more popular.
Well, sing it for me.
Okay. Do 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 do.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
All right. Hey, there's another one for.
Bum 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 bum.
Today I want to find out what Bonn has to offer in connection with the legendary Beethoven in the old town, along the river Rhine, and in a ballroom dating back to the great man's time. The composer spent the first 22 years of his life here in Bonn.
Bonngasse number 20. Beethoven was born in this house in 1770. Here you can learn almost everything about him, from his success as a child prodigy to the great dramas of his life, the unfortunate relationships and his loss of hearing. Malte Böker, the director of the Beethoven House, explains the most important stages. What was Beethoven's childhood like? He lived in this house for the first 4 years of his life.
Beethoven grew up in a whole family of musicians. His grandfather was the music director for the Prince Elector's court in Bonn. So he had the chance to meet all of Bonn's most important musicians through his family. They were frequent guests in the Beethoven home. And of course, a family that was so musical placed great value on Ludwig having a musical career.
Next topic, Beethoven and romance. Many of his compositions are dedicated to women, for example, to Elise. Beethoven isn't known as a womanizer, but women did play a role in his life. And who exactly was Elise?
Well, we don't know for sure, because the dedication on the original copy isn't specific. So there are different theories. One of the most significant things about his life is that he devoted himself entirely to music and never married.
He looks pretty grumpy.
You would too in his position. That bust was modeled on a cast that was done live with a plaster mask. They would cover the entire face with plaster, but first stick 2 straws into his nostrils so he could breathe. And in a situation like that, you might have looked a bit tense yourself. But it's the most authentic portrait that's been handed down to us. And it allows us to show visitors how he looked to people at the time. That was in 1812, when he was 42 years old.
Looks like a big soup spoon.
Or like a shower head, many visitors tell us. That's another major factor in Beethoven's life, his hearing loss. I think the question that especially fascinates people about Beethoven is, how could somebody who couldn't hear create such great music? When it set in, he was barely 30 years old. And at first, they tried to help him by constructing hearing aids. These were basically funnels that would condense the sound and direct it into his ear. You can see how they developed. The more hearing he lost, the bigger these aids got.
How does it work? How can you hear with it?
Would you like to try it? Down here, we've got a replica.
Okay. So, das ist also so ein Blechinstrument.
It's a brass instrument, and he would put the aid on, sort of like a hairband, and then whoever he was talking to could speak in here.
Konnten seine Gesprächspartner
How does
hier
it sound to you?
reinsprechen. Und was passiert bei Ihnen?
It would make me deaf. It's so loud.
Sehr laut, ja.
The Schlosskirche Church is another setting of Beethoven's childhood. It would have sounded something like this in the 1780s. The young Beethoven used to play Bach. Eberhard Hauschild is a professor at the University of Bonn, which this church now belongs to. I have this image in my head of a little guy on the organ with the whole church packed with people. Did they take him seriously?
Man muss sich wohl auch bei Beethoven ein bisschen
You have
so
to remember that
vorstellen,
Beethoven was like a child star. The ladies in waiting thought he was really cute because he was so young but played so well.
So richtig toll.
People were kind of proud that they had such a talent here.
Irgendwie auch ein bisschen stolz. Wir haben hier so einen, der kann richtig was.
The Beethoven Orchestra is also a major institution in Bonn. They rehearse here in the auditorium of the university. Dirk Kaftan has been the conductor since summer 2017.
Herr Kaftan, was bedeutet
What does Beethoven mean to you?
Beethoven is a driving force for us. It's in our name. We're the Beethoven Orchestra, and Bonn is Beethoven City. It's a blessing and a curse having such a titan in your name. But of course, a big advantage of Beethoven is that the name has so many positive connotations.
Dass sich dieser Name mit ganz viel Positivem verbindet.
Und wie kann man mit Beethoven, der
Beethoven's music has been around for so long. How do you create something new, something you haven't heard before?
Das geht natürlich nur, wenn
It
man
only works if you don't just commemorate and revere him the whole time. You have to take him down off the pedestal and understand him as an energy, as a source of inspiration. He was always looking to discover something new and look forwards, to give new ideas and new music a chance. He engaged with the intellectual movements of the time to create a better world. And that's all part of Beethoven, and it's a pool of opportunities.
Part of preserving Beethoven's legacy is also to perform less well-known pieces, like this symphony by Beethoven's student Ferdinand Ries. Time to leave the city. The Rhine will take me to another important location, and I can also see the river and the nearby hill range Siebengebirge. Beethoven enjoyed the landscapes around the region. The end of Beethoven's story in Bonn begins to a certain extent in Bad Godesberg. Beethoven met one of his musical idols, Joseph Haydn, in the ballroom La Redoute. Christoph von Borries, who now hires out the former ballroom for events, shows me where they met. Maybe you can transport me back in time. What was it like in the 18th century when Beethoven was here?
Beethoven war angestellter Musiker beim Kurfürst.
Beethoven was employed by the Prince Elector, and he performed often and had a regular salary. Joseph Haydn met Beethoven here in the Redoute Ball House. Haydn had been invited to visit on his return trip from London. The Elector wanted to show him the finished Redoute. And when Haydn came, Beethoven told him about his compositions. Haydn told him to come to Vienna, and he would help his career along. Today we say that was when he was discovered. That all happened here. My
trip to the Beethoven city of Bonn ends here at the Alter Zoll, the old customs house, with a view of the Rhine.
I've seen a lot and I've learned a lot. A typical traveling experience. You start off quite curious and by the end you are usually quite impressed. I'm already looking forward to the Beethoven anniversary in 2020. We will come back.